Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, welcome back to Stacks in the City. This is so amazing, exciting, and wonderful, and fabulous, and great, and anything and every other adjective you can think of in between. I am here, you guys. Drum roll. Okay, with the fabulous Teri Ijeoma. Sorry about that.
That's right. No
Ijeoma.
worries.
We're going to be talking about investing. We're going to be talking about anything in between, how she started, all that fun stuff, you guys. The point is so that you guys can do it as well. We're also going to be talking a little bit about travel because I heard that Miss Thang is out here getting passport stamped. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And as always, guys, I always love hearing from you. So of course, as always, in the feedback, the commentos, I love it. Hey, Terry.
Hey, Ashley, that was
How
great.
Oh, stop! I am so first of you all, I've been like gassed for like what 30 minutes. And now the gas is just in the past 10 minutes. So because we had a little brief combo. So I'm really excited to have you on. Thank you so much for chit-chatting with us.
Of course, of course. I'm so glad to be here. This
So
is
much fun.
exciting.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. Okay, so first let's backtrack. Tell us in your own words a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Sure. So I'm an investor. I'm an investor in stocks, in options, and in people. Like I love to just pour into people, see them do better in life, and more than anything, I also love to trade. I love to like make money, which is nice.
Amen
Um,
to that.
right? But honestly, it all came from me being an assistant principal at an elementary school and feeling like I needed an exit strategy. Like me and my other assistant principal, we would take turns crying in the bathroom. And when I say crying, I'm like literally like, you in the bathroom? Yes, I'm in the bathroom. Okay, let's talk. You need to talk, girl.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
Like those kind of sessions, like every day, it felt like
Oh.
something. And we would both like we pull up to the building at the same time. And like you could see her in her car, like with her gospel music on, trying to amp herself up, and me too. I'd be like, okay, we got to get our mind right before we go in this building. But like we just needed an exit strategy, and for me what that looked like was stocks and investing, and I just needed to make $300 a day to replace my income so I could live the life I really wanted, which was traveling around the world. And I've been able to do that. I now travel all the time, like you said, getting my passport stamped. I'm heading to Puerto Rico tomorrow.
Okay. Arriba, arriba, y'all.
Yes, even though that's in the U.S., but it still feels a little different. So I feel like
Exactly.
I'm still getting the passport stamp anyway. But that being said, I started traveling everywhere and just supporting it by trading stocks, and that's what I do now. I teach people how do you afford the things that are important to you, whether that's paying off your student loans, paying for your bills, paying your debt, or just supplementing your income like me. How do you do that with stocks? So that's what I do in trade and travel.
Well, so first of all, you made it sound real cash, and there's a lot to unpack here. So first, wait, were you always initially on a trajectory in the education realm? Did you have any other background in terms of investing? How did that start off? So first, were you always in education? And second, how did you start getting involved with the technical analysis side of investing?
Great question. So, no, actually. So, I went to MIT for undergrad, and I thought that I'd be like the VP of marketing at
Talk
some
about it.
Fortune 500 company. Like, I
Right?
was like, I'm going to be in the suite, and everybody else can be under me. No, I didn't think about it like that. But I really did want to work my way up at a company. Like, my goal in life was like, I want to make six figures, and I want to dress in cute clothes and wear a suit with my heels and look
Yes.
like that was the dream I had in my head.
That is
Um,
exactly.
so after undergrad, I went into management consulting. And the cool thing though is that I had interned on Wall Street. I had interned at Morgan Stanley and learned about stocks. But I had at that point said, well, no, I don't want to do that route because they're always working. They have 24-hour work days.
Yep.
And so I said, well, I'll go into consulting because they get to travel. Girl, one of my clients ended up being Teach for America, and I went into education that route. Like I worked for their national.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah. So I worked for their national team, teaching teachers how to teach.
Yep.
And so like with now that I like full circle to now when I'm teaching people how to invest and everyone's like, you're such a great teacher. I think back to that. I'm like, well, I guess you can't be around training teachers too long without learning the skill for yourself.
For yourself.
So I was on like the operations side of that, went to seminary. We can talk about that if you want to, but went to seminary and then actually ended up going into ministry in Chicago for 3.5 years. And I did like the more strategic side of that because I helped build out the volunteer department for an after school ministry, but still in education, still serving. And then after that, went to be the assistant principal at the elementary school. So that's kind of the trajectory of how I even got to being assistant principal.
That's crazy
Yep.
in a good way. And you know, Terry, it's funny. I actually I went to a KIPP school. Yeah, so I had majority Teach for America teachers growing up, and I did I worked for them, but it was like an internship slash job between my sophomore and June. No, wow, sorry y'all, it's a long time ago.
Like,
Between my fresh,
gotta go back through my
let me think again. It's blurry, y'all. After 25, anyway, between my freshman and sophomore year, so I am relatively familiar with the structure and some of the
Yes.
positions there.
Did you intern at Institute? Like one of the
I did Institute, yes,
Yes.
for the West Coast.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yep. I worked for
Yeah.
That's
It's
what I was
funny.
working with. Yep.
So now I'm totally familiar with the model and how you did it. So no, that's really good stuff. So yeah, y'all, she's definitely on it. So did you use your time? So your exposure at Wall Street during your undergrad experience helped you when it came to investing yourself?
Yes and no. And real quick, let me just backtrack.
Yeah.
One of the best compliments that I ever received was so back at Institute, where like we trained teachers, I was part of the operations team, and so I would hire all the staff that would work Institute. And one of like my favorite staff members, his name is Jamie. He was like one of the literacy instructors, like teaching people how to like build out curriculum. He actually now is a principal, gotten several awards for being a principal, but he's in my course. And he put out this Instagram message that's like, you guys, like Teri's course is the real thing. Like you all should take this class. It's changed my life. And he even like talked to the fact that it's got a good curriculum. And I was like, oh my gosh, for him to say that my curriculum and course is good, like that, I just felt like I had won $1 million, like won the highest award because like he's known for curriculum and he said that my course was good. And I'm like, yes.
If anyone gave you a check right there. And we're going to talk more about her program. You guys, she has a phenomenal program. If you guys are interested in learning about how to invest, how to make money relatively quickly in investing, learning that strategy, we're going to talk about that, y'all. So we're going to table that for a little bit later. You know, I love that. I love that. And I love how, well, let me back up real quick. I love how you have an education background because I want to talk more about that transition. But at the same time, it hurts my heart that there are so many people who do experience burnout in the education space. Especially, I will say, I personally believe that Teach for America, their program can be really rigorous for the people, for the core members, especially if they're going to these schools that they probably aren't familiar with growing up. They didn't have exposure to it. So there's a lot of culture shock on each end, on top of being new, fresh out of college. And I've seen it firsthand what burnout can look like due to lack of support or financial support or just feeling lonely and not feeling like you have a community to help with that. I guess it's more of a comment, but it hurts my heart that so many people jump ship in the education space and do something else because they feel that there's just not enough support. And students need people like you too.
That's true. That's totally true. And I definitely feel like that was my experience. When I decided that I needed an exit strategy from the school, I was just burnt out. And I did feel unsupported and I did feel like we had been running this like 50 like 100-meter sprint every single day all day with no break. And one thing I will say is coming from the consulting world into Teach for America, I can see how that culture, it's not just education. It's not just, the core members getting tired. Like consultants and business people investing, like we all get tired because we come in and we're known for pushing in everything we do. That's why we went to the schools that we did. That's why we had
Exactly.
accomplishments that we did. And so
Absolutely.
after you go into any endeavor, you're gonna get that, like reach that point of like breaking if you don't get support. And so yeah, like I totally agree with you. And I was there. I felt it. Yeah. I felt the need to like take a break, and I don't think I can be pushed any harder.
Wow. Let's talk about that piece a little bit more though. So, like you said, you felt like at some point, you're in your car, you know, we need the Clark sisters on blast.
Hmm.
You just feel like it's a constant struggle to keep the momentum and the morale high. What was your turning point to transition out of the school space and into what you're doing now? Or was there something in between?
Yeah. So my friend actually passed away, and he was 31 at the time. And he had just had like a 1-year-old
Oh
baby.
my
And
gosh.
yes, for me, that was the wake up call because I was about 31 at the same time. And of anybody, like he was the one that I thought would be around when I was 60. Like I thought like we would see our families grow up together,
Yeah.
and like I like he had just gotten this new job on Capitol Hill. He was a lawyer, and I just knew he would be like the next Obama or like
Right.
just great. And then for him of all people to pass away, and it was like a fluke accident, like it showed me that life was way too short, and I didn't have time to sit in this job that I hated. Like I needed to get out. So for me, that was the turning point. And then you asked me another question earlier. I don't want to miss it, but it was like the were you always in investing? From the time of MIT and being on Wall Street, I had kind of put investing to the side because, I had this whole new life. But I picked it back up in 2010 when the housing market fell
Mhm.
and then the market crashed.
Yeah.
And then as it was coming back up, that's when I started getting back into the market. But I've been trading now 11 years.
Wow.
And the first 6 years, I didn't really know what I was doing at all. So when you also ask, like, well, what was it that like got you into technical analysis? It was honestly courses and educators, like other people that have been trading for 20, 30 years telling me, like, Terry, the way to make this work is that you've got to actually start looking at charts. It can't be just oh, my
Gut.
mom said, yeah, oh, somebody said GameStop. Oh, I heard some whispers about this penny stock.
That's
No, like we need to pick really good, high quality companies. You got to have a risk management plan, and you got to learn how to read charts or have something that's a little bit more predictable to show you when's a good time to get in and out of a trade. So that's really what helped me get on this path. And I did, and I'll tell you the truth, I did it as a side hustle at first. And I think that like all women, men, everybody, but you don't have to jump all in right away. And you also don't have to have huge goals. Like just an extra $100 a day is an extra $500 a week, 2,000 a month.
Can you
Like,
talk about that?
right? Like you don't have to have these huge goals. So for me, it was a side hustle list at first while I was still in education, while I was still in ministry. And then it became, okay, let me use this tool to be able to quit and travel.
Terry, there's whoa. My head's blowing up. Just I don't know if you guys need a visual for that, but close your eyes and just click your heels together 3 times so you can get that blown. You talked about courses and people, and I imagine that this is around like the early teens where Instagram and these programs that we see now didn't exist. I'm not sure about you, but when I was taught about investing, what we were taught is that you're going to lose your money and you shouldn't even think about doing that. So for you, A, to even venture into this world, I know you had a little bit of exposure, but even then, it can still be just overly intimidating. How would you even know where to start and what to do? How did that happen?
So as I was, what's crazy is I also equally love real estate as much as I love stocks.
Oh my
And
God. Sorry. Y'all, we're pausing really quick. I do too.
oh, really?
Oh my gosh. I own two properties. I'm actually in the process of closing something in Baltimore right now.
What? Oh
Yeah,
my
my
gosh.
closing date's on the 31st.
What? I don't know if you know Charm City Buyers, but I was just with them. They do houses in Baltimore. They're always talking about Baltimore. So that's so cool that you're investing in
Yeah. Oh
Baltimore.
my gosh, we have so much to chitty chat about. Sorry, guys. You know how tangents go. Anyway, so
Right.
you love real estate as much as you love investing.
I do. And what really actually got me into investing was I was looking for a multi unit. I wanted a three flat in Chicago. And the realtor I was going with kept telling me about how well he was doing in his trades and stocks. He was like, yeah, I'm in this one trade and it's doing this and it's doing that. And I'm like, well, why am I about to put 30,000 down on this house when I could take that same 30,000 and trade with it since you're doing so well? So that's actually what triggered me to
A
get back
trigger.
in. Yep. It was like, okay, wait. Let me make sure that all the math works out here. If I do this real estate investment, I got to put a down payment. Then I'm going to have to come up with some more money to renovate it. Then I'll have to get renters. Then if they have anything break, I'm going to have to fix it. All that costs money, which, like I said, I love it. And so I'm willing to do it. But at the same time, is it the best investment or use of my
For
money?
you. And
At
your
the
time. And your time
right.
for you.
Yep. At the time, it was like, wait, let me see if I could work this investing thing in stocks a little bit better, because at least then I could keep the money in my account and still make it work for me, which was really cool at the time.
Wow. So, oh wow. Again, as always, there's a lot to unpack. Remember, you all, and we've talked about this before too, and I say it all the time. I think people love talking about real estate because it's a tangible asset that you can see. I think everyone has seen, someone buy a house and what that looks like. The process is extensive and long, and you do need a lot of money up front. It's possible to do without money down, yes, but I always tell people, just like you, that investing in the stock market is so much easier.
Yeah.
It's
And
easier.
and you know what's crazy? Like when we talk about real estate, I think we always talk about the ideal situation. Like, yes, when you get the house, it will appreciate. But I actually had a condo at the time of the housing crash in Chicago, and that's been what, 11 years back. It still has not come, like, I still haven't broke even with my value. Like, it's still underwater. And
Mm.
nobody ever talks about that part.
Yep.
Like, it can depreciate in value. And what
Yes.
if you have a big issue? Like, man, I don't know how many times we fixed the heater on that thing, and then like the building is starting to kind of break down, the pipes don't work. So there's like so many other things that can come up, but oftentimes we don't see that.
We
We
don't
just
see
think,
that.
oh, we're going to have cash flow. And then the thing too is, okay, yes, you might have cash flow, but how long will it take you for your cash flow to match your initial input? So,
Yes.
like for example, if you have to put 30,000 down, and at the end of the day, after the rent payment, mortgage payment, you're only bringing in $300. Well, that's going to take you another 100 months to
Yep.
get your money back. That's 8 years before
Years.
you'll break even.
We're not trying to scare anybody. Shout outs to
Right,
my
right,
aspiring home investors. Shout outs to y'all. But I think it's very important to bring that. It's very important to talk about that. I agree. I think that you have to do a lot of upfront number work to determine whether or not a property is worth the energy effort, which I think a lot of people aren't as familiar with. But I do feel like with investing, it's just not as much work. But I really want you to talk a little bit more about that. I
right.
want you to talk about a little bit more of like this person who sparked your interest. What strategy did he do? Are you a day trader? Are you an options trader? How do you use the stock market to live the life you have now? What is the life you have now? I have lots of questions, Terry. I need to know.
I love it. I love it. You're like, let me just ask you all the
I'm gonna
questions.
ask you all the questions up front.
You can tell me which ones you want to answer.
You can
So,
tell
okay.
me what you want to answer.
So let me tell you right now what my life looks like, and
Yeah.
then I think we can go from there.
Yeah.
So, I'm housed out of Texas and have a home. I actually was able to buy it with cash from both investing and teaching people how to invest. But have a home there, love it, it's beautiful. But when I'm at home, I don't get to see any kind of water at all because it's Texas. Like we ain't got water. So
Texas, we ain't got water.
we don't. So my friend was having a birthday party in Orlando, flew to Orlando. Then from there, just did a mastermind in Miami. And then from there, my friend was like, oh, we're going to Puerto Rico. So going to Puerto Rico. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like going home yet. So I'm going to just go to Cabo for a month. And then most of my friends know me by now. They're like, you ain't going home. Nope, I'll probably be there until. The date is until.
Until. To be determined.
Right, I have no end date. And then while I'm gone, like in the morning time when the market opens, I usually will open up my cell phone and trade for about 2 hours. And to tell you the truth, now I'm such a good trader that I can actually do like 2 or 3 hours a week and just kind of spot check my trades a couple times. I don't even have to trade that much, but I want to set clear expectations for new students. Like you're going to trade more often in the beginning, so maximum 4 hours a day, but mostly a couple hours in the beginning of the day, and then after the market closes, you'll want to look at it again just to kind of see what happened today, where stocks moving. There's something I need to know about, like the stimulus check. Okay, cool. That's going to change some things for a few of the companies, and then I go, so I can do all that on my cell phone, so I can do that from anywhere. So then usually the day looks like, okay, I hang out with some friends, we do a mastermind. A lot of my friends now have chefs, so it's like, okay, you go do some work, so maybe
What?
yeah, so
Like the cooking kind?
like the cooking kind, girl, and like good chefs too. So like I'll go eat breakfast at whoever's cooking. I'll eat breakfast, get on my computer, do some work for the course, make sure that my students have everything they need for trade and travel. Then like go mastermind and do whatever else I want to do. So that's what life looks like. Just I think the cool thing is I get to be the owner of my own time.
Yeah.
Like there's no boss telling me that, well, this assignment is due and you got to hurry up. And I think in all of my jobs, I always had that fear of being fired. So it was always like an anxious anxiety type of feeling. And I often found myself working out of fear, which sucks. But I don't know. Can you relate? Have you ever been in a situation like that or not really?
Come on. Yes. My first I remember my first job working on Capitol Hill. Every day I had a fear of being fired. Or I remember actually working for Teach for America. Every day I had a fear that I wasn't doing the job properly enough, and I was
Yeah.
gonna get pulled into a corner. And they were yeah. Oh, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, it's like this wave on your body. It starts here, but then it just passes everywhere. Yeah, yeah.
And then you're like waiting for the professional development and the feedback, and you're like, "Dang, what are they gonna say? I
You
don't
expect something
know."
negative.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. That would always get me too, because then I'm like, I hope they can see all the work that I've been doing. Girl,
Yeah.
this the craziness. I don't even know what I was talking about before we talked about that, but um, but the thing of it is like I I think the thing I cherish the most is that piece of the anxiety is gone. There's no one above me where, if I don't turn in something or what will they say or all those things, like that part of my mind has been freed, which I love. And as a trader, like you really are the author of your own time. I can do a trade on Monday and it can produce my goal for the week. So now I have freedom that I don't even have to trade the rest of the week. And that's what I love for my students too. Like if they have goals of, hey Teri, I want to make $1,000 in a day, or even I want to make $200 a day. They might do a trade that makes them 800, and now they don't have to trade for 4 days. They can enjoy their life. And so that's what life looks like. I'm trying to remember of all the other questions. What's
I know.
another?
I got you. I'll back it for you. Yeah. What does your life look like now, and how can we get there?
Yeah. I think the first step is um, like you do have to have some money to be an investor. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that you can make a ton of money
Yep.
with no money.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
In the meantime, when you're thinking about starting to invest, go ahead and start saving up, because you will need some cash in order to really make it go. Do you need a lot of cash? No, that's a myth.
Yep.
Some people are like, well, you got to have a ton of money. No, you don't. You can open a brokerage account with $500 and then trade. Like I like one called Trade Station, because you can open an account and then trade in a simulated account while you're learning. So you can practice and become good. Like, remember I said, when I was still at the school, I was trading every day and doing it as a side hustle. But that was building me up so that I could actually use it later to quit. So, like, while you're start saving, open a brokerage account is step two. We often, as people of color, and then just everybody, I feel, often we don't get ready until after the fact. We don't have the tools in place. We had a great opportunity come up, and then we're trying to get ready. Like, no, stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. So open up the brokerage account so that you can go ahead and start putting some money in there. And then of course I would say third, you need to get educated about it. Take an online course, trade and travel, start reading whatever you need to do. But just get educated about investing so that when the time is right, you can actually jump into stocks.
Just like that.
Mm-hmm.
You make it sound so easy.
It is easy. It's so okay. Wait, pause. Not easy. So it is simple to execute, but I think that it is something that does take time to learn to do well. So that's why I like the education piece. Stocks and options are one of those things where it's so easy to get in that people think that they can do it without any kind of knowledge. Like, well, I just opened a Robinhood account and I put some money in and I don't know what I'm doing, but I just heard somebody say Apple stock, so I'm gonna just get that. And then they start losing and they're like, well, the stock market doesn't work. No,
it's the operator.
It works, but you got in and you didn't know anything. You didn't know what you were doing. So it is something that is important, that even though it has easy access and easy entry, that you actually learn how to do it well so that you can be successful at it and be consistent.
That's great. So would you say that the majority of of your income comes from your trading strategy and your program?
Well, now I have 6 different income streams.
Wow.
So, like, I've been in real estate forever. So I'm a landlord, a realtor, and like in Texas, I'm like a managing broker. So I can have realtors under me. Like, so there's like a part of my income that comes from real estate. There's a part that comes from trading. So like now I've gotten up to like $300,000 in a day.
Yeah.
And just like really doing well there. And then there's a big part that comes from courses. Like, I'm one of the number one course creators on Teachable, and we had an 8-figure year last year.
That's amazing.
So thank you. So it's just now it comes from multiple places, and I would say that every income stream or company that I own has their season. So sometimes, like, the biggest thing will come from trading. Like, recently, like real recent, guys, don't even think about, like, I'm an expert in stocks and options, but I also had some money in Bitcoin, and it ran up to all-time highs recently. So that was a great day. Just like, oh, okay, great. Like, I can now go buy a small house from this trade today. But there's other days where courses will be a great day. And
I get it.
So it really vacillates, but all of them are awesome.
Yeah. It's funny because, again, yes, people talk about the different income streams, make it sound all sexy and fun, but I listen to that as well. I'm like, well, your assets are diversified. So like you said, if something does have a bad day, well, you can still be in Puerto Rico and Cabo to be determined, because you have your other streams working for you as well. They're not having a so-called bad day. They're doing great. So yeah, you guys, I talked about this before. Make sure that you do your due diligence in work, having more than one job, having money work in different places, so that if something were to happen, you'll be good to go.
Yeah. And I don't want people to hear this and think, oh, well, Teri doesn't have to do well in trading because she has other things going on. And that's not true. Like, when I first quit my job, everything was in that one basket. I needed to make $300 a day to replace my income. And if I didn't make the $300 a day, then I wouldn't be able to eat. Like, I needed to afford my bills. I had to pay for my student loans. Like, I had to pay for my trips and food, so that's what I was using stocks to do, and I did it. And I still do. Like, I have big goals now. It's like I want to own an apartment complex. So
Yeah.
I've got to trade to reach that goal. But I'm a multi-millionaire now. So now I have the
Hold
ability.
up. Say it one time for the people in the back. One more time for the people in the back.
I'm a multi-millionaire.
Okay.
So now I can diversify, and now
Absolutely.
my life can look a little different. But before, in order to afford freedom, I had to be trading every day. And so that is something that I think, if you're thinking about building wealth, like that's an act, like you need to learn that skill set. And eventually you may not, like, it's a skill set you'll have for the rest of your life. Sometimes you'll use it, sometimes you don't have to. But the
Yep.
fact you know how to will be a huge asset to your freedom.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. One more question before we go into a little bit more about trade and travel, whatever you offer to all of our wonderful peoples. What do you have to say for the person who's listening, who may be who you were, maybe back in 2011, or at a job that they're really upset about? They log into social media and they see these people, oh, I just made $500 last week, or I quit my job, who are giving you these really exciting big news, and they're working and they're trying, but they feel like nothing is working and they feel so discouraged and they have no idea where to go.
I would say first, girl, turn off your Instagram. Like, put that to the side because it is so easy to compare yourself to others
It is,
and like
especially now.
right, right, and just really start feeling bad about yourself. So one, turn that off, put it to the side. But then two, I would say now's the time to start making action towards the life that you want. If it is that, hey, I want to be able to sit by the side of the beach and work from anywhere, then you think about, well, what are the jobs that are going to allow me to do that? Of course, trading is one of them, but there's others. Like, you can be a real estate owner, or you can, do some of these other work from home things, but start making small baby steps towards it. I do think the first step on that should be, you got to get education. So start taking classes and don't be afraid to invest in those courses. Like, it's not always going to come for free. If you want a lifestyle that is like replacing your income of 40,000 a year, then you're not going to get to that 40,000 by paying nothing. So don't assume that, well, if I just watch YouTube enough that it'll come. No, YouTube for free is not going to replace 40,000 a year. Be willing to invest in yourself. And then the second thing is, now you got to practice. I see a lot of people that will take that first step of like, okay, Teri, I'm going to buy the course, and then don't pick it up for the next year. If you really want your life to change, you're going to have to put in the sweat equity, the time, the tears, even to practice and to learn the craft. Learn to practice, be consistent, have grit, have persistence. And that's in anything. Entrepreneurship is so hard.
Period.
And people say, oh, I'm gonna quit my job to go be an entrepreneur. Girl or boy, whoever, you don't know what you're getting into. It is hard out here for a pimp. But see, we didn't ask me all that. But
Yes,
so
girl. Shout outs to 3-6.
um, but like, you got to put in the time and the work, and then you're going to see that outcome. So just start making steps in the right direction. You can do it. I would encourage you to like see me as an inspiration. Like, I took a step of faith when I quit, and I just believed in myself, and I believed in God that he had something better for me than crying in the bathroom. And I honestly believe that he has something better for you all too.
That's right. And I agree with that too. I am Whew, that spoke to me too, you guys. I love it. I love that. Because even for me, and I share my experiences too with entrepreneurship. And she's right. Y'all, it's very, very difficult. It's not what you see. I like to think of social media now in general as just a commercial. Not even if they say highlight reel. I just think of it as everybody's commercials. So whenever you see, the whoop, there it is for a Geico commercial. Well, that has nothing to do with car insurance, but it's just a commercial to make you feel good or happy, or to want to buy someone's product, or to learn more about that person. So you have to always take what you see with a grain of salt. I mean, I have to say that to myself as well. I totally understand. I mean, everything you said is 1,000% spot on. 1,000% spot on. Okay, let's talk about trade and travel. What
Okay.
is it? What does it do? How can it help us? Real quick, I feel like when people tell me you have the opportunity to make $300 in a day, $1,000 in a day, that sounds real scammy to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. You hear people under the table, I made $50,000 in 2 days. That doesn't sound right. Tell us, give us some background on that and tell us about trade and travel.
Sure. So honestly, when I left the school and started traveling all over the world, I did not set out to have a course. So step one is no, I did like this is I'm teaching out of everything that I really wish I had known before I became an investor. Like
Oh,
that's what trade and travel is. It's not that, oh, Terry wanted to make money, so she started a course. No,
okay.
it was as I was traveling around the world and affording it by trading, people started asking me to teach them how to trade. So I did my first class in Thailand, second class in Vietnam, and then I was actually finishing up seminary. And my friends in Dallas were like, "Hey, will you do a class for us?" So the seminary let me borrow a classroom, and I did. Like I said, okay, I'll do a workshop on how to invest in stocks, and 71 people came. So from there, people started asking me in other places, and I said, sure, well, how about this? I'll put the curriculum online, and it grew. So it grew from 30 people in the first online cohort to now over 6,000 people.
I love it.
So it's a course, but it's everything I wish I knew before I got started and what I actually needed to be successful. So the first thing I needed to know was what companies to pick. How do I pick the right companies? Because the ones I was picking before sucked and I lost a lot of money. So Terry, how do I do that? And I teach my students how to pick the right companies. Then the next thing was, how do I protect myself from losing? Everybody says that this is a gamble. They say that this is, only 95% of traders are successful. So, how do I protect myself from losing? Well, there's ways to have risk management. You can put in something called a stop loss so that it'll get you out the trade on the way down. There's ways to calculate your reward to risk on the front end. So, that was the second thing I needed, and that's what I teach. Then the third thing is, all right, now I know that these are good companies, but when is the best time to get into them? How do I have an edge or a higher probability of being successful on these trades? And that was charts. Charts will tell you when the big banks are getting in and when the big banks are selling a stock. So if you know when Morgan Stanley is deploying billions of dollars, then you can say, okay, let me put my little hundred
My little
thousand.
couple of hundreds.
Right. Let me put
Slide that
my,
in
my
there.
thousand over there. Right. And get in at the same time and watch it move with me. So the charts will tell you that. And then that's what I teach. Like, how do you read the chart to know when the banks are buying and when the banks are selling? Which is really, how do I read the chart to know the best price to get into a stock and the best price to get out? And because of this strategy, in step 4, I put it all together into 7 steps of like, okay, do these 7 steps every time you take a trade. But because of that, we're able to make these higher probability, really successful trades and reach that $1,000 in a day club. And like we've had over 1,000 students reach that club. So like that's what I teach. And then from there, once I got that down, I started getting even better. Like, okay, well, how do I make money on the way down? Like, did you know that you could actually make money when the market's all red? Yeah, people kill it on those days. So that's what I teach my students. And then, like, how do you take advantage of gaps in Globex trading? So that's like trading overnight or when the news comes out and there's something crazy. How do I take advantage of that? I teach that. And then we say, now that you know all this, let's go a little higher to options, which is just like, how do you trade 100 shares of a stock at a time? But we teach that too. We being me.
No, that's right.
In travel. So that is what the course is. It's an 8-week program. It costs $5,000, but you can always just start with the first half if you can't afford that. And I get it. Like it sounds like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, if you make $200 a day for a year, then it's $48,000. And that's actually not including like weekends. Like it's just like 5 days a week, and we take out for some holidays. That's
Federal holidays.
right. That's $48,000 a year. So when you think like that, you're like, oh wow, it only cost me $5,000 to learn how to or to have the ability to make $48,000 a year, and that can be consistent because you have this skill set now that nobody can take away from
You
you.
do use, yeah.
Like that's when you're like, okay, I get it. I understand. Like this is an investment that's worth my time.
And that's what an investment is, Terry. Like, y'all, like you said, you can't go into anything at the very beginning of a journey not expecting to make your money back or expecting to not put any money and get something back. That's not how this works. You
Yeah.
can't do that. I think a lot of people, well, how can I get into real estate without no money? Well, you learn how to buy your first house with some money. And then, as you, like you said, as you get more nuanced, you can figure out more creative financing ways and so forth. But if you're first starting, you better scrap and save that little 20% down payment, boo boo, that 3.5 FHA loan, boo boo. I
Right.
completely agree. It's an investment. You put money into something with an expectation that you'll get your money back and some. That's what my definition is. And some part.
Exactly. And there's no guarantee. Like there's always going to be a risk.
Absolutely.
But like if you're willing, like to me it's a mindset thing. And actually I was just talking to on my travels I meet all kinds of people. So I was just talking to a guru and he was letting me know, he was like, I think that when people assume that they can get the education for free, it's setting them up for failure because like as an investor your whole idea is that I'm going to invest my money, and even in like in stocks you don't invest with $0. No, to buy the stock you have to put money in and then you will get a return on that investment.
Yep.
So if you go in with the mindset that everything's going to be free, you're already setting yourself up for failure as an investor. So yeah, I totally agree with you.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Terry, do you have any lasting parting words of wisdom for all my fabulous wealth builders out there?
I think the biggest thing I want to say is just open yourself up to the idea that wealth is possible. As a kid, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, and it gave me like this scarcity mindset that like there's not enough out there,
That's
or that you shouldn't reach for more, or that everything is scary. I got to hold on to all my coins because I ain't got that many. But like open your hands and just allow wealth to come to you because it really is something that is attainable, and just be willing to like walk in the footsteps of all of us, Ashley and myself included, that have gone before you and done really cool things, and just follow the path. Like you can do this, it's possible.
You can do this. It's possible. Oh God. Oh, y'all, my heart. I love when it palpitates in good ways, not in that I got heartburn way. That's not precious, but this is. So, oh my gosh, Terry, it was a privilege to have you on the show. Let people know how they can find you guys. I will have the link to Trade and Travel in the show notes for y'all, but let people know where to find you, how to contact you if they're interested. Where can they find more about you?
Yes. If you want to learn more about how to make $1,000 in a day, the club I was telling you guys about, I have a free webinar at itradeandtravel.com. That's itradeandtravel.com. And like we said, we know that it can be scary. We know that there's all the myths out there about it can be a gamble. You should buy and hold.
Yeah.
You should you have to have a lot of money to start, but this webinar will talk to you about all of those myths and dispel them and show you how we're able to still achieve $1,000 in a day, even with those criteria. So check out the free webinar, itradeandtravel.com. And then check us out on all platforms at Trade and Travel. YouTube is blowing up right now. Go to the Trade and Travel YouTube page. And then, like I just said, check out the link below if you're ready to enroll.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for you guys to go to her. Like I said, y'all, I'm a buy and hold girl. That's me. But I'm all, y'all want to know about investing, every single aspect of investing. My job is to give y'all every single aspect of investing. And there is no one that I would recommend, like in all seriousness, than you for this realm of market investing, for sure.
Thank you
For
so
sure. I
much.
want to thank you again, Terry, for your time. You guys give lots of love, and we'll talk soon. We'll see y'all soon. Bye, y'all.